Good evening and welcome to Act America. I'm your host, E.W. Helmick. Tonight we're going to tell you why Act America and what your role will be. Several months ago, I was studying a bill, H.R. 1388. It happens to be the Edward Kennedy Serve America Act, and here's the definition: an act to reauthorize and reform the national service laws. Now, I, for one, didn't know there was any such thing as a national service law. But as I began to research this more and more, I came to find out that what this bill actually is it's for all of us Americans, young and old, to serve in some kind of civic duty. Now, at the moment, this happens to be a voluntary bill, but there is action on the table for it actually to become mandatory, which means that all of us, young and old, would be required to serve in some kind of civic duty. Now, as I studied that more and more, I began to get afraid because it started looking very much like Hitler's brown shirts. So I, of course, started gathering radios and canned food and stuffing it beneath my stairs, and then I began building hiding places in my walls for my friends, family, and neighbors. Now, all that mixed with the current media frenzy and the fear that they've put on the table, things like my ethics don't matter anymore, my morals are going away, Christianity is about to die, and my freedoms are coming to an end. I paused and I decided something's wrong with this picture. I, for one, refuse to be afraid any longer, and therefore I created Act America. Now, there's a lot of folks out there with opinions, great people and great minds. In fact, I love people like Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Hugh Hewitt, Dennis Prager, Bill Bennett. I, for one, even enjoy watching Dennis Miller. The problem is, all these folks seem to have an opinion, but no one seems to be telling me, or you, the American people, what to do to save our nation. Again, we created Act America. What we're planning to do on Act America is on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, we're going to give you one single action item, something that you can take out and affect the current change that seems to be crippling our nation. You see, I believe that the media wants you to be afraid. I think they want you to grow complacent, and in that complacency, we become crippled. And when you're crippled, there's only two things you can learn to do. You can learn to crawl on your belly, or you can learn to fly. This American has decided to learn to fly. I hope you'll join me. So, Act America, we're going to have action items on those 3 nights of the week. Let's start right now. The first action item is I'm asking you to watch and tune in at least once a week. Tune in once a week and see what our action items are. Second of all, I'm asking you to take the action item that we give you and actually put it to good use. Some of the action items are going to be very complex. Will take more time. Some of the action items that we give you are actually very kid-friendly, very fun. I hope you'll encourage your family to be a part of this. One of the action items we hope you'll take away is that you'll actually invite family, neighbors, and friends to get involved, watch Act America, and take the steps that we're recommending. We hope you'll visit our website. We have some great resources that we've put aside. Some of those resources are actually going to become action items, and we're going to walk you through how to use those resources. But take a look now. We have some great stuff out there, and we think it'll drive your interest in Act America and in changing this nation. Who should act? Well, if you're a single mom, a stay-at-home mom, or let's say perhaps you even work out of the home, you should be involved. If you're a father and you're working a job, maybe you're working 2 jobs to pay the mortgage and pay the bills, you should be involved. But if you're teaching your kids biblical values and you're teaching your kids what this country was founded on and what our forefathers stood for, well, then you're already taking action, and I commend you. What we're asking you to do now is we're asking you to sacrifice one thing a week. Well, we don't think watching our show is a sacrifice, so maybe 2 things. Sacrifice one thing. It might be a walk on the beach. It might be a golf game. It might be your favorite magazine or your favorite TV show. And in sacrificing that one thing a week, we're hoping you'll take the action item and you'll actually put it into play. You'll actually create an action. George Orwell put it best, I think, when he said, in times of universal deceit, telling the truth will be a revolutionary act. I think it's time for a revolution. I think it's time for a revolution of education and knowledge, and we put away laziness and complacency. I think you need to seek out a healthy dose of encouragement. You need to find yourself in town halls and in tea parties. You need to find yourself in places where people think like you, because when I began ACT America, I thought, I'm the only one that thinks this way. But when I got more and more involved, I realized there's a lot of people who feel like I feel. There's a lot of people who believe that their freedoms are important, important enough to protect, important enough to fight for. I hope you're going to join me. One of the places you can find a healthy dose of encouragement would be to turn off your television or put away the newspaper that you might be reading on a daily basis and find yourself some good news. You can go to the internet, you can look at Fox News, you can find a whole lot of great radio hosts, you can find good and truthful information, and you can find the facts, which I believe is very important. Well, let me tell you this. I believe the end is coming. People die, civilizations come and go, and I believe in a biblical end to all things. Maybe not tonight, and maybe not as early as tomorrow, but eventually. I will tell you what though, this American will be afraid no longer. You will not find me in the end cowering in a pit-like cave like Saddam Hussein waiting for my demise. This American, with fervent prayer, will be on the battlegrounds at the end. I'm counting on you to join me, and we'll let the enemy decide whether or not we're there with flags or we're there bearing arms. We're talking about your freedom. It's your responsibility. My name is E.W. Helmick, and this is ACT America.